Hey, it's Melody. Welcome to A Saner Spin, episode 26. This week I am answering another reader question, and that question comes from somebody who moved to a new state, has been living there for 2 years now, and has made close friends, but nobody in this new state where she now lives knows anything about her having bipolar disorder. So she asks, is there any need to tell my close friends here, where I live now, about my bipolar disorder, and then if I were to ever get in a relationship, when is an appropriate time to tell a guy about it? Great question. There's no one right answer for anybody, and I wouldn't trust any single person on any important issue for responding to anything. I think even if it's me, I wouldn't trust any single book, even if it's my book. I just think you should consult as many sources as you can. And I understand you have now consulted one source. And what I have to say to you, number one, is you have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. Unfortunately, we live in a society that makes you feel when you have a mental illness that you should be ashamed of it, that it's something that is your fault. It is not. It is a clinical condition that you do not need to be ashamed of. I have had a pancreatic tumor. No one in the world ever made me feel guilty or responsible or ashamed for having a pancreatic tumor. Unfortunately, that was not the same case when I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So I understand where you're coming from, but I want you to know that it's not your problem as much as it is society's problem, in our culture's problem, in terms of how we view people who have mental illnesses and the stereotypes and misrepresentations in the media and elsewhere about people with mental illness. So what you need to do, you need to have good friends. If your friends are good, then and solid and sensitive people, it'll be okay. You need to know in what circles those friends are, right? Are they also coworkers, or are they just friends who aren't coworkers? How do you feel about possibly people knowing at work and all of that? Eventually, people who are close to you should know, if only so that in the worst case scenario, they can help you and they know how to do that. I know people who wear bracelets, actually, who have bipolar disorder, and I think that should be the norm, actually. I think if you have a serious condition, that people should know about it, so that if something happens, they do know. But I understand that the society we live in does not make that easy, and not everyone can tell everybody, and not everyone is going to respond well. But I can say, if you have good people in your life, if you make it a point not just to say, you know what, hey, by the way, I have bipolar, but to educate them a little bit and recognize the society that we're living in, that they may have never heard the term bipolar being used as anything other than a pejorative. So that's what you sort of have to be facing. So in that case, you need to do a little educating of your own. And, it's not your job to educate everybody, but you know what, if they're close to you and they're part of your inner circle, they probably want to help you. And quite honestly, as somebody who speaks publicly about this all the time, you would be surprised how many people, when you were open about having a mental illness, will come up to you and say, oh, I do too. So I don't doubt that when you start telling some of your friends who you think are trustworthy enough to share this information with, and if you're dating, when you think it's relevant to share this information, I would not be surprised if some of them came back to you and said, oh, well, I have depression, or oh, I have OCD, or, mental illness is not that rare. So I hope that helps a little bit. Like I said, there's no one right answer to your question, but it's a very important one, and I think you will be able to figure it out. And if you have any other comments, questions, concerns, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And until next week, then, take care.